Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the Black Book Today. I'm Sam McKee, joined by Bob Hollywood Hayden. We are in the auctioneer's stand here at the annual Standardbred Horse Sales Company auction in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And Holly, it's safe to say that this is the World Series of horse sales.
With the Baseball World Series just over, it's just getting underway here at Harrisburg. If you have any thoughts at all of celebrating on harness racing's greatest stage, you got to be right here. Over 1,000 yearlings go through the ring the first 3 days of the sale.
And with 1,000 yearlings falling under the auctioneer's hammer, there's something in every budget, every price range, and every taste.
You can go for $37,000 for Bunny Lake. She turned out to be the 2001 Horse of the Year, or $190,000 for Rock and Roll Hanover, the 2005 winner. Either way, it certainly appears the 2009 Horse of the Year is going to be in this room.
And one of the unique things about this year's auction is the buzz over a fearsome foursome of first crop trotting stallions.
Something for everybody. Cantab Hall, the only 2-year-old trotter ever voted Trotter of the Year. You have Winsong's Legacy. He was 6 for 6 in finals, a Triple Crown winner. You have Tom Ridge, the 1-heat and 2-heat world record setter. He was the fastest ever trotter when he retired. And the overseas horse, Revenue. Indeed, something for all.
Well, Holly and I made the rounds. We talked to several of the movers and shakers in the industry, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the Black Book Today. Well, one guy that's hard to get a hold of here at Harrisburg because he's Mr. Popularity is Kevin Lair, the trainer of Snow White, the world champion freshman trotting filly, 152-4 at Lexington. You demolished the world record. Tell us a little bit about that day.
Just amazed with it, really. We didn't expect that. You heard other people talking about they might go 52 in a piece. I didn't really, nobody expected 52. I didn't anyway. 53 in a piece, maybe, 54. Really, we were out to, if the world record could be set it, at the fraction set up. If it didn't, then, we weren't worried about it. We were there to make the purse money.
Snow White almost seems like a freak of nature. She's a foot taller than anything else she races, just floats over the ground. She seems like a man among boys. Has she been good from day one when you first started breaking her?
From day one, Sam, and you said it right. Freak of nature. Nobody has any clue on why she's as good as she is, why she does what she does. Her size does mean everything. But on the same, she's done everything good from day one. She's always put them down right. Her first break she ever made was in the Mary Annabelle. So when you talk about being shocked, nobody was shocked more than we were.
And John Campbell has driven her in every start. How much of an impact on the way he's raced her has it had on her career?
Can't say enough. She could have been very hot-headed. She is a self-possessed. Her mom was a fruitcake. So, out of that, you put them two together. That's probably why we ended up with her as cheap as we did. But on that sense, told John, we sent her out of the gate once or twice. That's all it's going to take, to make her a nut. And she's been very good since then. He's done an excellent job. I couldn't thank him enough.
So with the success of Snow White here at Harrisburg, are you looking for more self-possessed out of Pine Chip mares? Do you stick with the family theme?
Believe it or not, they've been marked, but I'm sure everybody else has read the books and knows her breeding too, so I'm sure everybody else is interested in that. Everybody's here not to buy Snow White. Everybody's here to buy the best one. That's it. That's all we look for.
What's your thought on first crop stallions? Will you take a flyer on a first crop stud?
I love both, first crop stud and a first foal out of a mare. I love both. I'm still a firm believer that Ali had a brother that couldn't fight. The breeding, all background breeding and all that, I'm not the biggest on, but it does help when you go to buy one.
Well, Kevin Lair, congratulations on a great season with Snow White. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Best of luck.
Thank you, Sam.
2 years ago at Harrisburg, Donato Hanover stepped into the ring, and this man stepped to the plate, David Scharf. David, take us right back to that moment.
Thanks, Bob. I had been to the farm a couple of times and I'd seen Donato in the fields and in the paddock, and I had also known his mother, so I was pretty lined up to buy the horse. And as the story goes, I had liked the horse the year before the foal, Here Comes Herbie, and hadn't bought him. He had sold very late in the sale the year before, and I had missed out on him, and I didn't want to miss out on Donato.
Was there a lot of bidding, a lot of activity for Donato?
There was, but it wasn't crazy. A lot of horses here had way more hype than him, so honestly, no. The horse sold for $95,000, so he didn't sell cheap, but there wasn't big buzz on the horse.
Was there anything that day that could have prevented you from getting Donato Hanover?
There's an end-line price for everybody, a price, but I was committed to go significantly higher than the $95,000, and he wasn't a horse that was going to sell for $200,000 plus. So the answer probably is I was going to come home with him that day, no matter what.
Well, last year you had a fairy tale year with him at 2-year-old of the year, Breeders' Crown winner. Now at 3, you map out a year, but you never map out a season for a horse, and it actually turns out that way until Donato.
No, this has been almost surreal to from the end of last year when the Breeders' Crown ended. Steve and I had the days that we wanted to qualify this year, and every race that we wanted to go to, and where we were going to ship, and literally every race and he hasn't missed one date.
And now, for people watching the yearling sales, seeing your name, what about families? Forget Donato for a second. What about families that worked for you in the past? You stay with them?
Yeah, I mean, some of us get stubborn. Our egos get in the way, and we go back and we go back again. And it's funny, there's so many horses here, but when you come back, you get drawn to where you've had success in the past, and even to where you've had failures, because some of those failures lead you to trying again because you have a little bit of insight into why things might not have gone right the first time.
David Sharp, let's hope lightning strikes again for you this week at Harrisburg.
Thanks, Bob.
It's always great to see young people that have a passion for harness racing, and I can't think of anybody who has more passion than Adam Victor Jr. You and your father own some of the best horses in the sport, and you are just about finished with the Wharton School of Business. When do you graduate?
May 2008, next year. So.
And what are the plans for Adam Jr. once you graduate?
Well, horses will definitely continue to be somewhere in the plan. It's been a great run and something my father and I love, but I'm looking to get into banking for a little while. Do international equity trading or something along those lines.
And you've done a lot of equity trading in horses and been very successful at it. One of the biggest events this year in harness racing on a national scene, even though you didn't win, was Mr. Muscleman going overseas to race in the Elite Lap. Talk a little bit about that and how close the race was and your thoughts on it.
Well, it was absolutely the most amazing experience we've ever had in this business. It really is treated as a sport of kings there. It was across national media. Everyone was rooting for us when we were walking down the streets. And Mr. Muscleman gave such a valiant effort. He was really stacked up against in his elimination, had to race 3 wide most of the race. We couldn't use 2 head poles, so he wasn't really equipped the first mile. And then the second elim, with everything against him, he just went to the front and took the heat of Going Kronos, who eventually made a break. And then a French horse who sort of sat us back the whole mile just got up. But we were so proud of him, and even though we finished second, we felt like he went over there and he proved something.
And talk a little bit about the experience over there too for you.
It was unbelievable. I went over with my family, my eldest sister, my mom and dad, Noel, and half the stable practically went there just sort of to get a feel for it. We stayed in Stockholm for 3 or 4 days. The racing there, how they treated the owners was unbelievable. It's actually, they have a couple of things that we can learn from Swedish racing, the whole setup, how they organize the media, the sort of more of a mass media. They get more of an appeal, more of a sport-like feeling to the whole event instead of focusing on the gambling and the horse aspect, which is obviously important. But it was just well-rounded, everything we enjoyed about it. It was a scene, it was like a festival. And anyone who loves the sport needs to experience the Elite Lap at least once in their life, because it truly is an amazing race.
And the only guy who may not have enjoyed it afterward, at least, was your driver, Ron Pierce,
Yes.
who was fined for 2 different violations, for taking the lines in one hand and using the whip,
Yep.
and also for bearing out in the stretch. What was he fined, like $18,000 US?
And it's pretty sad, but Ronnie actually said he will never go and race there again, which I think is bad for the sport, because I think it's good when the best of Europe comes over and races our horses and we go race them. I think we need to globalize our sport in any avenues that we can. But he won't go over there. It's not fair when American drivers go over there and the judges sort of, we're going to go over there, there need to be some sort of leniency. These are how Ronnie races over 2,000 races a year. And for him to crack the saddle pad a little bit, which is how Mr. Muscleman races, and to be fined is not fair. And I don't really believe he bore in. I think that was just sour grapes on their part. For as good as the Swedish fans were, for as good as the sort of the racetrack was and the people we dealt with, some of the best people in the world, the judges just got that wrong. And a lot of the Swedes who we race against even told us that. So I think, if American horses are going to get there, they need to get their act together.
And will our favorite American horse, Mr. Muscleman, try it again in 2008?
We are on track for 2008. We had to do some minor knee surgery before the Breeders' Crown and the Maple Leaf, but Patty Hogan said his knees look like a nice young 3- and 4-year-old. The cartilage and the ligaments are very good, but we need to take out a couple chips. We could have rushed him back for the Maple Leaf, but we decided not to. And after the Maple Leaf, there was really nothing that really interested us. So it's one of those deals again where for 10 months we're prepping for that one race, because I think winning that would sort of solidify his career. So we're aiming for it.
Well, Adam Victor Jr., best of luck on your banking career. Best of luck on Mr. Muscleman in 2008. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks.
One of the biggest players in the sport, and on the first day of the Harrisburg sale, was Jimmy Takter. Jimmy, what do you think of day one here?
very tough, very expensive. But we finally started racing for real money now. I mean, before we've been racing for our own money, and it shows in the sport.
Was there a lot of European interest yesterday and Monday? And how about for the week? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know how many the Europeans bought, but I know in Lexington it was a very big outcome there. But I don't know yet. I haven't seen the sales results.
The first crop trotting sires are all here in the sale. Winsong's Legacy was the Triple Crown winner.
Right.
Tom Ridge was the fastest. We have the two-year-old champ, Cantab Hall, and Revenue. So we have 4 options there. You trained Tom Ridge. What's your impression of Tom Ridge yearlings?
We bought yesterday. We bought 2 of them, and I'm very happy. I mean, we have 5 at the farm that we broke already, and they show a lot of promising at the early stage.
And is this sale, the Harrisburg sale, a big news overseas?
Of course, I mean, this is where we buy the Europeans coming over here and buy breeding stock and things like that. It's a very big deal.
Now, with a horse like Donato Hanover having a wonderful year, likely horse of the year, are the economics of racing such that it's impossible to race him past the 3-year-old year because of these stallion possibilities?
Unfortunately, it is. You always like to see a great horse like Donato continue racing as a 4, and because really the horse haven't shown his real full capacity. I mean, I think really he have to race 4th and 5th season to see really how great horse he really is. And I showed he was a great horse this year, but unfortunately, the breeding business is very strong, and so it's a safe deal. And racing, horse can get injuries and things like that, and it might don't turn out so good. So, unfortunately, that's the way it is here.
Okay, Jimmy Tattoo, good luck this week at the Harrisburg sale.
Thank you.
We're joined now by trainer Tom Houghton. And Tommy, you've had so much success in this sport, from being a popular catch driver and a top trainer to kind of changing your focus a little bit in recent years, focusing more on developing colts and getting them ready and either selling them or sending them up east.
Well, I think we worked so hard we were young. I got a little burned out, and I have twin boys and a great wife, so I didn't want to mess that up. So I switched things around for that reason.
One of the greatest trotters you've ever trained, probably the greatest trotter, is the champion mare Peace Corps. Tell us a little bit about what it was like with her and what a natural she really was.
Well, it's funny. Every time I run into another blacksmith, they say, thank God she didn't kill me, because to this day they still can't mess with her hind end.
She's tough to deal with, huh?
We never had hind shoes on her, I think 3 or 4 months into her training. She's going to kill somebody. And I think to this day, she's still the same. And I'll run into a guy, boy, that mare was tough, and she hurt a lot of guys.
That toughness in the barn area, though, translated on the track, too, because she was tough to pass.
She was very nice on the track, easy to train and all that, and just always wanted to go forward. And the thing about the great mares, I could name 3 or 4 that made over $1 million, like, say, Naughty But Nice, Caressable, her. Every one of them was nastier than heck, but nice on the track. And I never had a nice mare that could go that far. They can make a little money and they're nice, so great, but the ones that are tough to deal with were always the best ones.
What was it like growing up as a son of a legend in this sport? The late, great Billy Houghton, obviously the top-ranked trainer-driver in the history of the game, obviously gave you a lot of opportunity, but with that opportunity came quite a bit of pressure, too.
I think it was easier than hard because I just jumped in and got to get on some really good horses and had some luck, so I think it was a lot easier than being any pressure. When you're winning, everything's all right.
Now at Harrisburg this week, Tommy, when you're looking at yearlings, what's most important to you? Family that you've had success with, or the actual pedigree on the catalog page?
I can tell you from all the mistakes I made. I bought beautiful horses, athletic, but no family, and they can only go as fast as it says on that page. So I think number 1 is the pedigree. And some guy sent us a horse called Somatic.
Uh-huh.
It was this big. I looked over the stall and I go, oh, what are we going to do with this thing? He was our best horse. He wins in World Trot, 53 flat. No one wanted to drive him. That's why I got to drive him. And pedigree. He's a speedy, a Super Bowl out of sister to Speedy Somali.
So he had the black type and it transferred to success.
But his confirmation, I don't know about that. But I always made the mistake of going with a better conformed horse. You're better off going with a better bred horse. I think 100%.
Our second session is coming to a close at Harrisburg, and Holly, I think it's safe to say that the strength from day one translated to day two.
Yeah, the success of day two had everything to do with day one. Those who came here Monday and left empty-handed came back more determined than ever today.
And based on what we've seen from the bidding, it seems like buyers feel that fresh is best.
A little bit of the out with the old, in with the new. Of the first 27 yearlings I sold for $150,000 or more, 7 of those 27 were by first crop stallions.
And the euro dollars are very strong. What are your overseas impressions?
I talked to an overseas agent about the sale. He told me the general consensus was the ultimate roller coaster. It was high and then higher and then a quick drop off.
Well, Standardbred Horse Sale Manager Murray Brown feels that the Wednesday catalog is the strongest Wednesday session ever in the history of Harrisburg. Chances are we'll be back with more of the same. Thanks for watching The Black Book Today.